77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts, including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, folks. This is the More Money Show. It's the highlight of my week to be able to be in front of this microphone to talk to you. And we have affiliates now throughout the country on the Red Apple Audio Network. So thank you. If you're new to the show, we talk about economics, we talk about politics, we talk about finance, and we talk about how you can make more money. So there's nobody who knows more about making money and how to deal with our tax system than a good friend of mine and someone who's been a hero this week. And that's Michael Faulkender, who is the number 2 guy at the Treasury Department. He was in charge of helping get this tax bill through, which is an enormous achievement. I think he's probably been working 60 or 70 hours a week, and that may be putting it at a too low a number because he also was tapped by Donald Trump to run the IRS, which is quite a challenge as well. So, Michael Faulkender, thank you for joining. Thank you for what you did for our country. Without you and without the great Scott Bessent, I don't think this would have gotten done.
It's great to be with you, Steve, and it was a tremendous victory, tremendous week for the American people. We have been working at this since before the administration even started, so that if the American people gave unified government to the America First movement, we would be ready to go. We have been working at this, and it came to fruition yesterday with the president's signature on that one big, beautiful bill.
So it was touch and go there for a while. Well, I have to tell you, I was skeptical that we could get. I mean, I remember Trump said a month ago, we got to get this done by the 4th of July. And I kind of rolled my eyes and I think there's no way they're going to get this thing done by the 4th of July. Donald Trump must not understand Congress very well because they always wait till the last minute. But boy, he said, get it done, get it to me on the 4th of July, and defied all expectations and got it done. How important was Donald Trump in terms of getting this through the House and Senate?
You know, the president provided leadership from the very beginning. You know, this, as I said, it didn't just start on January 20th. It started last year on the campaign trail, really setting out the themes and the important work that we need to do on behalf of the American people to turn this country around. You know, the Biden administration left us with a fiscal mess. They abhor growth. They think that big government is the way to generate prosperity. And of course, we know from President Trump's first term, we know from the Reagan Revolution that, in fact, it's empowering the private sector, it's getting government out of the way, that is the source of wealth creation and the source of prosperity for the American people. And that's why when he set the themes of ensuring that we extend the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, make it permanent, that we address some of the new growth incentives like extending immediate expensing of equipment back up to 100%, immediate expensing of new factory construction, addressing R&D tax credits, but then also providing labor incentives through things like no tax on overtime and no tax on tips, so that those Americans who really work hard are encouraged to do it even more. And at the same time, to go after the bloated spending that took place under the Biden administration, so reimposing work requirements on Medicaid, eliminating the Green New Scam that the Biden administration implemented. And Steve, we realized $1.5 trillion of mandatory spending cuts, unprecedented amount of fiscal discipline that's in this bill. The president worked, the Treasury Department worked, the National Economic Council worked from the very beginning, focusing on making sure that we get this bill over the line well before any kind of deadline was in place, because there is no better way, Steve, to open up the 250th year of our great nation than by getting this bill enacted.
That's right. If you think this is a great 4th of July, wait until next 4th of July when you have quite an agenda ready for our 250th anniversary. I can't wait for that. By the way, I'm talking to Michael Faulkender, who was really one of the the guys who did all of the hard work over at the Treasury Department, working with Scott Bessent to get this thing done. So saluting both of you for your great work, Mike. But I'm reading the front page of the Wall Street Journal this morning. This is the weekend Wall Street Journal. And the story on the front page says, unpopular bill poses big challenge for GOP. And then I read, that's the headline, okay, Michael? And then I read the story and they go, well, no tax on tips. That's very popular with people. Requiring people to work for their welfare benefits. Yeah, that's popular. No tax on overtime. That's popular. Making the Trump tax cuts permanent. Yeah, that's popular. In other words, all of the elements of the bill, with maybe one exception, there's some disagreement about the Medicaid. But if you look at the individual things, and there are dozens of things in this bill that are all popular with the American people.
That's right. Because and not only that, they work, and we know they work, because the American people reelected Donald Trump because they remember what the economy was like prior to the pandemic, and they contrasted that with what they had under the Biden administration. So we are now engaged. Now that we have done the work of getting this bill across the finish line, we have two things that we need to do. Number one, we need to get it implemented. And so I said on an interview yesterday that while we're celebrating this weekend, starting Monday morning, we move into implementation phase at the Treasury and at the IRS, because we need to make sure that the American people, when they see their refund checks next February, next March, that are the result of implementing this legislation, they are going to be reminded of just how much they benefited from this package. And then number two, we need to go out and explain to the American people all of these things, start explaining how no tax on tips works. Talk to the business community about getting that manufacturing construction underway, because if at the end of the day the American people see better jobs, more growth opportunities, and better lives for their family, they are going to give credit to the president. They are going to give credit to the Republican Congress who secured this enormous victory on behalf of the American people. And let me also say one thing, because it got lost in all of the great excitement about the bill. We also got a Pillar 2 deal with the OECD this week. We got the Canadians to walk away from a digital services tax. This president did so much work, and we have tirelessly efforted at Treasury to realize these successes. But we are addressing the unfair tax negotiations that the Biden administration, that the Yellen Treasury engaged in. We got those fixed this week as well. So it was just an incredible, enormous success all around for the American people on the economic front this week.
So you got rid of that Janet Yellen, what you call
minimum tax.
The minimum tax, which is crazy. We just got about a minute and a half left. I just wanted to ask you just one thing, just so I understand and our listeners understand. So this bill is almost everything in this bill is retroactive to the beginning of the year. So in other words, people will be getting a tax cut for the work they do, the investment they do this year. Is that right?
3% is the baseline for us. If you do this,
I love it. Michael Faulkender, you are a national hero for what you and Donald Trump and Scott Bessent did. And folks, this is the More Money Show, and we will be right back.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org.